It's the new year, and Metal Energy is just days away from drilling our SourceRock project, finally figuring out if there's lithium in these brines at SourceRock, yes or no. Can't wait to get there. We just completed a raise mid-December, raised $640,000. I participated in that. Our chairman, Stephen Stewart, participated in that, both because we believe in the thesis. We believe that SourceRock has lithium brine potential. And so again, we're days away from this. Anywhere between January 8th, January 15th, we will start drilling to re-emphasize the potential that exists at SourceRock. It's not just about the logistics where we do have the right infrastructure. The highways right there, Canada, Trans-Canada Highway 17, deep seaports right around the area, at least a pre-existing one that is looking to get refurbished. Power and natural gas lines crossing the project and well-maintained roads. Everything is great in this area to access, but it's the size of the whole project as well. This is a massive project, close to 913 square kilometers, and it has that depth potential as well. So when we put that size potential into comparison with Chile's Salar de Atacama, there it is highlighted in blue, but really the main focus of the Salar is that central salt belt in the green circle. So if you really folded SourceRock, which you can see on the right-hand side in red, if you folded that over on itself, it would basically have the same aerial extent as the Salar de Atacama Central Salt Belt. And of course, there's the main producing areas. And you can fit that red circle in numerous places into the SourceRock project. So a very exciting potential at SourceRock. And we meet all the criteria. There's no doubt about it. Was there an arid climate back when the sediments formed? Of course there was, billions of years ago, and we see that with the salt. And we know this was a closed basin with salars and playas again because the salt beds, which I'll show. Uh, there's a lot of tectonically driven subsidence along the Black Sturgeon Fault and the Mid-Continent Rift System when it came in later as well, which is also another associated igneous and geothermal activity. The Quetico subprovince is a well-known lithium pegmatite field with a number of companies looking to develop lithium pegmatite projects. So that's where SourceRock really gets its name from. We have a few aquifers on the project that are highly porous and permeable, and there's also groundwater under pressure. So there's a lot of potential for waters to migrate to surface on their own. And the rocks have been around for more than 1 billion years, which is a very critical figure. I showed this in another presentation sourced on the bottom, but the rock types that we're looking at, just highlighted in green here, are the oldest sedimentary rocks that were under investigation. And as you go back in time, you can see that lithium increases, and that's a key takeaway, that these are very old brines. So lithium concentrations were, above average to begin with in really old rocks, in billion-year-old rocks, which is what we're seeing at SourceRock. This same evidence from another author. So corresponding scientific evidence as you go back in time on the bottom scale, your salinity in your basins increases. And you can see that there in the graph. So older rocks just are naturally saltier. And again, from as you increase your total dissolved solids, basically salts, to the right-hand side on the bottom axis, you get higher lithium concentration. And that's visible in this graph. But to have that correlated, again, by another author in a more specific area, so going back to Salar de Atacama, the second largest lithium producer in jurisdiction in the world, and it's all from lithium brine. This is why Salar de Atacama is so important. Well, you look there in the middle picture, the halite zone, so the salt zone, that's the central salt belt that I was comparing SourceRock size to. And then looking at the right-hand side in the image there, in the red box, it's the same thing as the image that I just showed. As you increase sodium on the bottom axis, lithium goes up. That's apparent in the data. And the areas with the highest lithium concentrations are the ones within the halite zone, but also in the other salar there to the west on this image. So that there's just a lot of repeating thesis that as you have higher total dissolved salts, you have higher lithium concentration. And we know we've got salts in the core. So when I visited the core in Ontario back September, October last year, I got to see the core, and it was wonderful. You can see salt hairs precipitating on the core. You see salt nucleations along preferential lithological boundaries. You see salt incrustations that basically look like snowflakes. Again, you can see the salt forming on the core. You can see salt crust layers. And that goes on for about 25 meters. And then once you get to a depth that you start to see salt beds form and become uh, more prevalent in the rock type. And the image in the top right there looks like those Himalayan salt beds. It's that nice crystalline salt that we are seeing. And you get these for another 20 to 25 meters of salt beds. Sometimes they're highly dissolved, so meaning that the salt's probably in the fluids. And you can see them filling up fractures. So that is very cool to see as well. But we know we've got super saline water conditions. It's just the question of, is there lithium in there? And historically, well, not historically, but where do you find the lithium brine operations today with those red stars on this map? As pointed out with the arrows, they're all in mountain belts. Every single one of those are in mountain belts and at high elevations compared to sea level. That's a criteria for this. So when we consider where a SourceRock project is, at least in today's schematic on the map, we're there in that blue ellipse. And what was that like a billion years ago? It was a huge mountain belt. So the same conditions existed back then, just based on the figures, higher lithium concentrations are surely possible. So to summarize everything, we made all the requirements. The scientific data supports the thesis that SourceRock has lithium-bearing brines. That's what's so compelling about this project. That's why we think this is a sure winner, because there's a lot of scientific data and reasoning that supports the idea for SourceRock to have lithium-bearing brines. We just have to prove it. We're cashed up. We're days away from drilling, and I really do hope that we are successful on this one. Metal Energy is a part of the OR group of companies, very successful companies. Should check out each and every one of them. And of course, follow us on YouTube. We've got a lot of great informational videos out there. Also, you can subscribe to our newsletter via metalenergy.ca. Follow us on LinkedIn, X. We'd like to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and pay attention for the drill news, as it is days away. Bye.